If you want to learn a bit more, I'd listen to that episode with Leo on episode 306. Number 5 is cutting down evening screen time for better sleep and focus. This is probably one of the hardest things, I think, and it was definitely brought to my attention by TJ Power, who's a neuroscientist. We had him on episode 281, how phone fasting in nature can build dopamine and support your brain. And this led to a number of things. It's been very impactful for me, actually, throughout 2025. There's a couple of things that I've done. And the one thing is a silent retreat. So I did a silent retreat at the start of this year. Regular listeners are probably bored of me talking about this, but I honestly recommend it to everyone. I think it's one of the most impactful things that I've done for my health and clarity and focus. 3 days, no email, no reading, no listening, no writing, no talking, no interaction with the outside world. Walking outside in nature, I took myself to Lake District. We did very, very light yoga that was guided as part of the silent retreat. It didn't have to be anything fancy. It wasn't expensive whatsoever. You don't need to do a retreat. You could do this yourself. You could go to a cabin. There's a number of different services out there now, like Unyoked and Unplugged and a whole bunch of others that have sprung up because of people recognizing this real need to reconnect with themselves, let alone other people. It's just reconnecting with yourself and removing yourself from the device that has stolen our attention. This has been a running theme actually throughout the podcast with people like, Johan Hari, who's been on the podcast talking about soul and focus, a number of other people talking about the importance of sleep and the impact that our phones and our reliance on digital devices is having on our health. So the silent retreat for me was an extreme intervention to address an extreme modern phenomena, which is just how much time I spend on my phone. But aside from doing a silent retreat, what other things can we do to create distance between our devices, whether it's our laptops, our TVs, or our phones? And just before I go into that, constant phone use has been demonstrated to overstimulate dopamine signaling, lowering the receptor sensitivity. Phone fasting, on the other hand, which we would describe as short intentional breaks. So when you're being intentional about actually removing yourself from your phone, this restores dopamine balance, improving mood and focus and motivation. And screen removal before bed reduces things like cortisol and improves melatonin release as well. So these are all things that have been demonstrated in the literature to actually have a positive effect. Conversely, prolonged screen time is associated with increased reward-seeking behavior. You're constantly looking for that next dopamine hit. And this leads to an alteration in the neural circuitry related to dopamine signaling in your brain, particularly in something called the frontostriatal pathways. And these neuroimaging studies, where they've done them in adolescents and children, they indicate that frequent and extended screen use is linked to less efficient cognitive control and a preference for immediate rewards. So this is all sort of painting a picture, and it's not just in adolescents and kids, even adults. I see this in myself and I see this in other people. We're constantly looking for a fix for dopamine, and the attention span, I believe, is reducing as a result of our modern phenomena, as a result of our phones.